Greetings, everyone. Welcome to welcome to one of our new interviews for the College Kumo series. And today I'm very happy to have with us Subarna Banerjee. Subarna has just completed her masters from Shiv Nadar University, and she's here to share with us her experience. So, hi Subarna, welcome.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
So glad that you could make it. So, Subarna, could you just start by telling us the basics SNU is a new university, right? So, newer university. So, which batch were you for them?
So they started, SNU I think was inaugurated in 2011. And if I'm not wrong, from 2015, they started their Masters in Economics batches. So, and I joined in 2019. So I must have been like the third or fourth batch.
Okay, so it's a relatively newer place, but it's gained a lot of popularity in these short years.
Yes.
So
It has been doing very well in terms of placements and academic as well as corporate.
Yeah, which is very rare for a new college to be able to come up and be able to do that. So, how was your experience? Let's hear how was your experience there?
In terms of the curriculum, it is very rigorous, and it actually prepares you for if you're interested in doing a PhD, because the coursework which we do is the same for PhD students as well as for us. So in that way, the curriculum was very rigorous. The campus is beautiful. The faculty, they are very supportive, and they reach out to us whenever we are in need. And overall, it is a very good environment to be a part of. So my overall experience has been very good.
All right, that's wonderful to hear. So, Subarna, give your background if you can to our listeners, so they would know what you did before you joined SMU, so they would know where you're coming from.
Right. So I did my bachelor's from Presidency University, Kolkata, in economics. And then I went for my master's in Shiv Nadar University in economics.
Okay. All right. So, I'm sure it must be a smaller batch if they're able to give personal attention to the students.
Yes, we for us we were a batch of only 19 students, and that actually helps a lot with a very high teacher to student ratio. You actually get individual attention, and so that is actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to choose SNU over other institutes which had a relatively larger batch size. And also we basically if you rank amongst the top 15 in the entrance examinations, they offer a assistantship, which is basically they give you a scholarship as well as a teaching assistantship. And so that really helps because you also get to teach students. You have to conduct tutorials and all, and that helps you in terms of understanding your concepts better.
Definitely, that's a wonderful thing. So I'm assuming you got that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So that's nice. So since you mentioned scholarship, could you just tell everyone what is the fees at SNU, and if they do aim for that scholarship, what percentage of that would be scholarship?
I think the one whole year would be around, I think, 1.5 to 2 lakhs, but then the assistantship gives you a 75% scholarship. So that would mean that in a year you would I think you would have to pay around 30,000, but then you again get monthly stipends of 12,000. So you kind of sort of like break even.
Are you serious? That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Oh my, you were rich in SNU.
Yes, they're very supportive, and they encourage us a lot. And yeah, I mean, you don't see anything like that in India, and it actually helps in your applications abroad. If you have such a assistantship experience, it actually contributes a lot towards your resume.
Of course, I can totally understand that. So this is only for the people who are 1 to 15 in the entrance exam.
Yes.
Okay. So if
that was for our batch. I'm not sure what will be their policy after this, but for our batch, okay. 15 students. got that.
So, but it may not be the case that, the top 15, let's say, take admission in SNU. So then is there a rollover, like,
Yes.
then the next person in the list may get that scholarship?
Yes. The first 15 students taking admission into SNU would be getting the scholarship.
Oh, so out of 19, they actually supported 15 students.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, so that's like a really large number.
Yes, our batch capacity was 20 students, but we had 19 in total. Now I think the batch which came after us, they have a little more than 20 students. So the top 15 get a scholarship.
Okay, and are you aware of any plans to increase the seats or anything, or it's going to be
not sure at all now?
Not sure at all. Okay, fine. Okay, so take us through a bit about your coursework. Like, what subjects did you study? How was it there? Did you write any, research papers? What was the practical experience that you got there?
Okay, ma'am. So first semester we have microeconomics, macroeconomics, mathematics for economics, and statistics, and as well as a Python coding course. So we had 5 courses in the first semester. Okay. Second semester we had macroeconomics 2, then we had computational economics, then we had econometrics and microeconomics 2. So these were the 4 courses, and then in the third semester we actually are introduced to electives. So in the third semester we have 2 compulsory courses, econometrics and game theory, and the rest 2 course basically you can choose 2 electives. Now when you reach the third semester, you have the option of opting for a thesis paper. If you opt for a thesis paper, you're supposed to work on it for the entire year, and you would be exempted from 1 elective each semester. So you will be exempted from total 2 electives during your second year if you opt for the thesis paper. Now, and again, if in terms of the electives which you choose, we have for example, I chose environmental economics and time series econometrics. So for environmental economics, I had a research project, but for time series, it was like a normal exam-based structure. Again, in my fourth semester, we completely had electives. We had to choose 4 electives. So in that, in one of the electives, I had to write a term paper in development economics, and the others were exam based, but then you also have project components, assignments, presentations, and all that. But if you opt for a thesis, then you actually work on a proper project for an entire year. I kind of I missed out on that, unfortunately. I mean, for some reason it was my mistake. I did not opt for a thesis, but I should have, now looking back. But a few of my classmates did opt for one, and it gives you a lot of independence, and you also learn a lot. You basically work under a professor, so they help out a lot.
Yeah, but you already had the TA, so I'm sure even that somewhere made up a bit for working with a professor. You were able to do that. Okay. So that actually sounds really nice. It's pretty similar to my experience at BSc, because even us, first year was compulsory papers, and then second year was only electives. We could choose same options: environment, law, development, so on, education and health. We could choose whatever we wanted. So yeah, sounds really nice. And talk us through your professors. Like, where are they from? What's their background like?
Basically, our professors are either from ISI, Delhi, Kolkata, or they have done their PhD from abroad. Like, either they have done it from ISI, or I'm not sure about DSE, but either they have completed their PhD from ISI or they have done it from abroad. So places like UBC, then University of Missouri, and yeah, basically either from abroad or ISI.
Okay, great. All right, so I think coursework sounds good. You were very happy with the professors. You were a small bunch, so you got a lot of personal attention. And I mean, I can just imagine in BSc, when we had electives, we were happy that, we were bunched into smaller groups, because BSc is a large group, so 250 students. So in my electives, I thought, wow, if there are, 15 students or 20 students, it was much better learning. but I'm just guessing with 19 kids and then electives. So you were such a small group. It was such a personal interaction with your faculty.
Yes, definitely. Like for example, for my environmental economics course, we had only 3 students, so we got a lot of time to interact with our professor, and yeah, that definitely helped.
Okay, and that is why you're also thinking if you want to pursue higher studies, you may consider SMU as one of the options because you were so happy with the faculty that you got there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes. So that's great. Okay, so other questions that students typically have is with respect to placements. So for a new place, how because typically placements go through the alumni channel. So here the alumni channel is not that big. It's going to be small because of the number of students, and the vintage is not there that much. So how did you people manage? How do people manage your placements?
So our placements are conducted through this university body called the Career Development Center, and they conduct the placement process for every school, for every batch. However, after the batch which came after us, they have started a placement committee which is mainly restricted to the economics department. So I'm under the assumption that it will only placements would only improve because it is also backed by the economics faculty now. And so again, our year was a bit of a because of COVID and all, placements weren't that great, but that was the case for every other institute. But mostly everyone did get placed. Before this, our seniors basically, they told us that places like Bank of America, Deloitte, PwC, Dell, Nagarro, usually these are the recruiters who come amongst others. So placements, this year was not that great, but otherwise it is pretty good, and I think that it is gonna get better because of the placement committee. They are actually reaching out to a lot of recruiters, and they are actually making an initiative, so it is most likely to improve.
Yeah, plus 19 students is not going to be that hard to place, I'm sure. And not all would be sitting for placements also. So the pool of students that you need to take responsibility to place is also is very less. So it seems like a manageable task. Then okay, and given how well you all treated, I'm sure placements would also not be a problem. The college is going to support you in that. It seems like that. And can I get a sense of the average packages that recruiters are getting?
So before the pandemic, it was somewhere around 9 to 10. That's what I've heard. But this year again has been different, so it's not been that great. But yeah, the average package was around 9 to 10. That's what I heard from my seniors.
Okay. And give me some idea about the profiles that company typically offer the students.
Basically, a business analyst, data analyst, risk analyst, mainly these 3 profiles.
Okay. That sounds good. And companies are coming from all over, or is it primarily for the Gurgaon or Noida?
Mostly Gurgaon, but also Bangalore, Hyderabad, these places.
These places also, okay. Sounds good. And what about the PhD prospects? And I'm guessing since the faculty is partly from India, partly abroad, student strength is low, so you could expect a lot of support from your faculty to reach out to their connections outside and help the students get a good PhD placement.
Definitely. In fact, our head of the department is also our Dean of International Relations and Partnerships. So that actually helps. A lot of our people who graduated from SNU economics masters, they got offered at places like University of California, University of Pittsburgh, Purdue, Stony Brook, Cornell. They have been getting really good offers. So a lot of our alumni has gone for a PhD abroad at really good schools. And also SNU. Also SNU students who did a PhD from SNU, even they have been placed at really good places. So till now, I think we've had 3 PhD graduates. One has been placed at, I think initially had been placed at IIT. Now he's working at ISI Delhi. The other has been placed at IGIDR as an assistant professor, and another one is working at a 3 IEEE, an impact evaluation organization.
Okay. So that sounds very nice. Everything looks actually really good. Anything else that you think that I missed? Anything else that you would like to elaborate on? Campus life, how you said that
campus life is really beautiful. The campus is really beautiful. It's also it's very happening campus life. But unfortunately, our batch missed out. We could only stay there for just a semester and a half. So we really missed that.
Yeah, and I don't think, unfortunately, the situation is going to improve anytime soon.
Yeah.
So even the next, few batches coming in, they will have to experience a lot of online classes. So, but yeah, that aside, it seems like a good place. If with online you could do so much, and you felt connection to your faculty, you felt that you could reach out to them, you could do work with them. So even if with the online mode, if the school was able to contribute so much to you, I'm sure when things get better, it sounds like a lovely school to pursue your studies at.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Actually, once the pandemic hit, I think within like a week or 2, we completely switched on to the online mode. So the transition took place very quickly. There was no, in terms of academic, there was no compromise towards that area. Also, in our summer holidays, for example, we got like free Coursera licenses to pursue like whatever course we wanted on Coursera. So, I mean, they do make an effort to sort of, not let this online medium hinder our learning outcomes.
So I think overall you were very happy with your experience. It's so wonderful to hear that, and I really wish you all the best for whatever you want to do next, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do next.
Thank you, ma'am.
All the best and do well.
And actually a big thanks to you and Ankit sir, because through EduSure I got to know about SMU. And so, I mean, yeah, that guidance was always there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have applied also.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Subarna. So thanks, and we'll be in touch, and all the best for everything that you do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Bye-bye.